After 1500 days of playing in my hardcore Minecraft world, I've built farms, villages, and even cities. But in this video, I want to take my world to the next level by building a giant castle. This is by far going to be one of the biggest projects I've ever attempted to complete in a single episode, so with no time to waste, let's get started. Lately, we've been working on expanding our harbor to the other side of the water. You can see we have all of these houses over here, which are looking super sweet. But right behind that is this big hill where I was thinking could be the perfect spot for our castle. It is a slightly weird area though, like half of it is plains, the other half is a savanna biome, and then we have the smallest cherry grove biome I think I've ever seen. Like, look at this thing, it's just one tree. I almost feel kind of bad for this thing. Regardless, I think this area should still work, and the first thing I want to get started on is building the gatehouse of the castle, which of course means we're going to need some room to build it, so let's just clear out a little bit of space. Can just remove some of this short grass too, and yeah, there we go. I think this is a pretty good spot for our gatehouse. And we're of course going to need a bunch of materials to actually build this thing, so first things first, let's head into our lumber mill. This is where we have all of our wood stored, and please tell me I have, okay, I actually have a decent amount of spruce, which is awesome. However, I do want to use a bunch of the stripped logs, so let's just place down a bunch of these. We can strip them and then chop them back down. And I'm pretty sure like 2 stacks of the stripped logs should be more than enough, so hopefully this shouldn't take too long. Alright, and just like that, we got ourselves 2 stacks of stripped spruce logs. I also went ahead and made a bunch of trapdoors as well as regular doors, so we should be good for our spruce items. However, while we are in here, I do need to grab just a few acacia logs, and I also need some dark oak trapdoors, which, okay, I have 4. I'll just grab some of these planks, we can make a few more. So we'll just quickly head over to our crafting table, go like this, and boom, that should be all the trapdoors that we need. And then the very last wood material is some oak trapdoors, so let's grab those planks, go back to our crafting table, and make a bunch of those trapdoors. And let's just make our life super easy and throw all of this into a shulker box just to stay organized. Alrighty, but that covers all of the wood materials, which is absolutely awesome, and I'm really hoping we'll have the rest of the stuff that we need inside of our starter house. So first up, let's just press this button and drop right on down into our secret storage room. And then I know I want to use a decent amount of andesite, and awesome, we have a bunch in here. Along with the andesite, I also want to use some tough blocks, so let's grab these walls, and then we'll come up here, and we'll also take these stairs. Alrighty, heading to the other side of our storage room, we're also going to need some cobblestone stuff, probably a couple of stacks of blocks, and I'll take these walls as well. And I mainly plan on mixing that cobblestone in with regular stone, so let's just grab one of these, yeah, like an entire shulker of stone. That should be way more than enough. But I'll also just take a bunch of these other blocks that we can craft into the rest of the materials that we need. And that means we just need to take a quick visit over to our stone cutter, and let's just start off by making a few stone brick slabs. And I'll also need a bunch of stairs as well. And then what else? We're gonna need some walls, regular stone slabs. We'll also need a decent amount of regular stone stairs too. And last but not least, we're gonna need 5 stacks of regular stone bricks, which is, you know, quite a bit, but you'll see once you see the size of the gatehouse. And once again, just to stay organized, let's throw all of this into a shulker box. Look at that, look at us staying organized. We're absolutely killing it. Okay, but with that, we are super close to having everything that we need, just a couple more items to grab from upstairs. The first thing is a bunch of flower pots, which great, I have a bunch right there. And then to put in those, we're of course going to need some actual flowers, so maybe let's just go for some, I don't know, some azure bluets. And maybe just to mix into that a little bit, we could also grab a few of these oak saplings. I love how these look in flower pots. Another sort of like niche block I want to use is iron bars, so let's grab a bunch of iron, which we have from our iron farm, turn all of that into iron ingots, and just make like a bunch of bars. Okay, whoa, that was a lot of bars. Okay, whoops. Okay, yeah, I was not expecting to make that many. Can we just throw, yeah, let's just throw a bunch of those into this random chest. You can stay there for now. Okay, but the very last thing I want to use for this build is some dispensers, which requires some string to make bows, and wait, no shot. Am I completely out of string? What the heck? Like, no way that I'm completely out of string, right? Let's see. I have 1 bow, I guess. I can make 1 dispenser. Because, yeah, what's the recipe for these things? If we do, yeah, not a dropper, but if we put a bow there, it turns it into, yeah, a dispenser. And I think for the build, I need 9 of these, which means we either need to go get more bows or get more string. And we don't really have, like, a skeleton dropper or anything like that, but hopefully in this mesa, there'll be some spider spawners. Oh, you know what? I don't even need spider spawners. I could just grab this cobweb, can't I? Yeah, sweet, got some string. And I'm kind of smooth-brained when it comes to doing math, but I think to make 8 more dispensers, we need 24 strings, so let's get all of this. Ah, string number 5, we got string number 6 and number 7. Let's go. All right, check this out. This is string number 10, string number 11. Okay, it's way too dark down here. I am scared. Number 16. Found a spider spawner and a bunch more cobwebs. So yeah, okay, 33 string. We're good to go. Stupid poisonous spiders. Is there anything in this chest though? A golden apple? I'll take it. You know what? I'm gonna eat that right now. I don't even care. There we go. We're chilling. Okay, but with that, we got all of the string that we needed, so let's get out of here. All we gotta do now is just head over to our crafting table, make a bunch of bows, and then make a bunch of dispensers. Boom, 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 and boom. Alright, but now that we have the area right here flattened out and all of our materials gathered up, let's get straight to building. I wanted our gatehouse to look super strong and reinforced, so I went for 2 identical towers on either side, and then in between that, I created a tall archway, which is going to make a really grand entrance to our castle. I am really happy with how our gate is looking right now. It is a lot of stone, but I tried to include these like spruce highlights with these little windows, which help break it up enough, I think. And we're still not done yet, as there's a few more details I want to add, like these flowers that we picked up earlier just in front of these windows. I think we'll add just a small pop of vegetation, which should look really nice. So let's do the exact same thing on this side, just start with our scaffolding, and then maybe for this one we just do our oak saplings, and then for the higher one, azure bluets. And just give me a sec, I'm going to repeat this for all of the windows. I got those all in place and it's looking really nice with just a small pop of color. I mean, I don't know how realistic it is for, you know, a castle to have flowers like that in front of the windows, but I think it looks good, so let's roll with it. And we have this really nice archway in the middle, but you know, a gate wouldn't be complete unless we add an actual gate, so let's just make our way up here a little bit. And then we can probably start it like on this block here, and basically I just want to go with these iron bars going all the way across. These are a little tricky to place, but something just like that, and then we'll extend this one all the way up to the very top. So let's just go ahead and get these all placed in. And honestly, I think these top ones are just going to be easier to place from the very top. And there we go, the gate is all in place. It's a small detail, but it definitely makes the whole thing look, you know, more like castle-y, I guess you could say. And then behind the actual gate, I want to do like a bit of a door using spruce trapdoors, like a giant one. So let's just start stacking these all the way up. It's definitely going to be a pretty expensive door using all of these trapdoors, but I think it'll be worth it. So I think our first door is starting to look pretty good, but it is kind of like a blob of spruce right now. So maybe let's just remove this row right here, and then let's very carefully replace all of those ones with dark oak. So just flip those like that, and let's take a look. Yeah, it's a small detail, but it just helps kind of break that up and make it look a little bit fancier. And you know what? Because of how big this door is, I think I want to double up on the trapdoors. Like you can see, this is what it looks like with 2, and that's what it looks like with 1. Just having the double makes it look like a little bit sturdier, I think. But anyways, enough yapping, let's get these all placed in. And just like that, we have double trapdoors going all the way to the very top, and it's looking way more sturdy. But anyway, that's only one side of the doors. We got to get this other side placed in, and I'm going to do it kind of at like a 90-degree angle to make it look like the door is propped open. Just got to flip these last trapdoors, and there we go. Both of the big doors are in place. And I think the best way to look at this is from the front. Let's take a look, and yeah, I like that. Basically, it just looks like this door is closed and this one is open, so you know, small carts and stuff could still get through, but nothing too big. And I thought I'd take a quick look at this gatehouse from our Happy Ghast. It is looking absolutely awesome. But of course, this is only one small section of the castle. We still have so much more to build, so let's get right to it. Hang on, before we get too carried away, I almost forgot to use our dispensers. We went through so much work to get these. Basically, my idea is to dig out a bit of a trench right here, and then if we fill that back in with the dispensers like this, it kind of looks like some holes in the ground, and it kind of looks like the gate could slide down into these holes so that it's completely flush with the ground and nothing can sneak underneath. And it'll definitely look more in place once we swap out this grass with like some stone or cobblestone, but anyways, that's a future task. As for right now, I want to get started on flattening this hill since it's going to be kind of in the way of the rest of our castle. I came super prepared though and brought everything that I need to set up a beacon, and I think right beside our gatehouse here will be a pretty central point for it. So let's just place down our actual beacon, throw some iron in there, we'll do haste and haste 2. Alright, but with that, let's lock in and flatten this hill. It took about 45 minutes to get the area prepped, and it kind of looks like a disaster right now, but we just gotta trust the process, and once we start building the castle, it should look a whole lot better. It looks pretty messy right now, but my plan is for this to be a giant courtyard down here, and then we'll have some staircases going all the way up to the very top of the hill, and then this is where I want the keep of the castle to be, kind of in this area. Anyway, we have our work cut out for ourselves, so I think first things first, let's just tear down this beacon. You know, we shouldn't need it anymore, and it's a little bit in the way. Alright, sweet, beacon has been taken care of. And I'm also down to our final 6 golden carrots, so let's take a quick stop by our villager trading hall. I think these guys should sell us emeralds for iron. Yeah, they do. Awesome. This guy as well. Can you give me a few emeralds? Thank you. And then come over here, Mr. Farmer. I will take some more golden carrots, please. Thank you very much. This farmer is honestly the goat. This is where I've been getting all of my food for the past like 1400 days. With our food situation taken care of, I wanted to work on gathering the rest of the materials for the castle. I visited our various storage rooms, grabbing all the items we're going to need and making note of what I still needed to collect out in the world. I'm starting to realize just how big this castle is. Already we're up to 11 shulker boxes for all of these materials, and there's still a ton of stuff that we need to gather up. First of which is some acacia wood. Luckily there's a ton of acacia trees around here, so we should be able to gather up a bunch in no time. It's been a few minutes, and I think after this tree we should have, close to 5 stacks of logs, which should be plenty, so let's move on to the next material. And the next material is yet another tree type, but this time we're after some oak wood, so once again, let's get to chopping. I managed to get ourselves 6 stacks of oak logs, but I do just want to replant some of these trees. I probably shouldn't get rid of the entire forest and just leave it like that, so yeah, let me replant a few of these. Alright, sweet, I think the entire forest is replanted, so let's move on to the final tree type that we need. And you might have already guessed, but I need a ton more spruce wood. I am always running out of this stuff, so let's get to chopping. And I also do want to use quite a bit of these stripped logs, so I should be smart here and strip a bunch of these as I'm going. Well, it's been about 20 or 30 minutes, but check out this inventory. It's completely full of spruce. Oh, it's so beautiful, I could cry. As beautiful as it is though, it's kind of hard to do anything when our inventory is this full, so let's throw some of this into a shulker box. As for the rest of these regular logs, let's go ahead and turn all of those into planks. And then first we'll just make a bunch of oak trapdoors, and then we'll do the same thing with these spruce planks, just make a bunch of those, and then same thing, a bunch of trapdoors. Okay, wow, that ended up being a lot of trapdoors. I'm probably gonna need a second shulker box for these. Alrighty, but that should cover all of our wood materials now. And I mean, we might as well just go ahead and add these 2 new shulker boxes to our absolutely massive mess of shulker boxes over here. But moving right along, we need to take a trip down underground, as there's a few materials we need from down here as well. First things first though, let's just throw our beacon on top of our iron pyramid down here. If you didn't know, I only have one single beacon in this entire world, so I kind of have to move it around to wherever I'm working. We definitely need to build like some sort of wither farm or something so we can get more beacons, but anyways, we'll save that for another episode. For now, I just want to grab a bunch of these tough blocks, as that's what I came down here for. And I don't really think we need like a crazy amount, so hopefully we can find enough within the beacon range. That definitely had to be one of the biggest deposits of tuff I've ever found. I dug out this entire area. And check this out, I almost filled my entire inventory. That's absolutely insane. No way, I found something even more insane, some diamonds, let's go. Alright, but just quickly, I want to use our stone cutter to turn some of these tough blocks into tough bricks. I think I just need about like 8 stacks. Alright, so with this one right here, that should be 8 stacks. And once again, just gonna throw all of this into a shulker box. Alright, but we're not done down here yet, as I also need an entire shulker box worth of andesite, but hopefully with haste, it shouldn't take too long. It took me about 10 minutes, but I think with this, we should have an entire shulker box worth of andesite, which we do. Awesome. And that should actually be everything that we need from underground, but just before we leave, I want to grab our beacon, as we're going to need it for the very last block that we have to gather. And that block is actually going to be coming from the nether, so let me see, do I have any fire resistance potions? I do, very nice. And you know what, I'm even going to take this one from the item frame. I'd rather have too many than not enough. Alright, but with some fire resistance potions obtained, let's head into the nether. Okay, so the last block that I'm after is a bunch of this blackstone, and I think the best spot to get a bunch of it is going to be the basalt deltas biome. And already, it doesn't take too long to mine, but I do want to try it out with a beacon. And I'm pretty sure I should be able to insta-mine it just with haste 1, so we can just do a super small beacon just like that. I guess there is one issue, and that's that blocks can't be directly above it, so we're going to have to pillar up and clear all of the blocks and then come back down. Digging straight up in the nether is probably a super stupid idea, but we should be alright. Okay, sweet, we just hit the bedrock at the very top, so let's dig this going all the way back down to the beacon. Made it back down to the bottom, and the beacon beam is a very good sign. Let's just go like this, throw a thing of iron in there, we can go haste, and yeah, accept that. Alright, now for the moment of truth, can we insta-mine this? We cannot. Wait, I really thought we were going to be able to insta-mine this with haste 1. Okay, that sucks. Alright, no worries, give me a sec, I'm going to make this beacon bigger. Alright, I just finished making the pyramid bigger, so let's throw our beacon back on top. We'll go like this, we'll go haste and haste 2. Alright, this better work or I'm going to cry, please. Yes, let's go. Okay, we can insta-mine. And I'm getting attacked by a ghast. Great. Okay, and this is kind of devastating to say, but I need 2.5 shulkers full of blackstone, so this is probably going to take a while. I'm going to lock in and mine this up, and it's getting completely destroyed by the lava. Nice. What did I do to you? To make matters worse, all these guys are mad at me. Okay, this is actually kind of sketchy. This is actually kind of scary. Get off me. You know what? I'm just gonna box myself in here. Those guys can stay mad. I absolutely hate the nether. I'm just gonna try to get my blackstone as quick as I can and get out of here. It's been a good while, but I think with this, I should have my full first shulker box. Just 1.5 shulkers to go. Oh man. Even though we can insta-mine it, which is, super nice, I keep running into lava pockets and, I think the zombie piglins are still mad at me, so it's kind of sketchy, but, I'm slowly making my way through it. But of course, right as I say that, I'm not running into a single thing of lava. That is so typical. Anyway, I'm gonna keep mining all of this up. Hopefully it goes smoothly. Check this out. Shulker box number 2 is now full of blackstone. We're super close now, just need like 15 or so more stacks and we should be good to go. Also, it seems like I'm out of the beacon range, that kind of sucks. Anyway, enough complaining, it's gonna look so sick using this blackstone in our castle, so let's go ahead and mine up the rest of this. It's been a few minutes and check this out. We have not 1, not 2, but almost 3 shulker boxes full of blackstone. I know I went through this pretty quickly, but trust me, that was one of the most stressful things in my entire life. And I'd really like to get my beacon back. Are these guys still mad at me? I don't think so. Okay, that's good. This magma is going to be a little bit annoying though. Let's get rid of this guy. We're friends now, right? Right. Alright, let's just get all of our iron, get our beacon, and get out of here. Got all of our iron, let's just grab our beacon. Get me out of this biome, this place is just so scary. Finally, home sweet home. I have never been so happy to see our starter house. Now that we have this blackstone though, let's go ahead and craft it into a few different items. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna need an absurd amount of blackstone stairs. Like, look at this. This is over 16 stacks of blackstone stairs. Alrighty, but moving right along, we're also gonna need some of these polished blackstone brick stairs. That is kind of hard to say, but let's craft a few stacks of these. And last but not least, we're gonna need quite a few stacks of these polished blackstone bricks. Alright, sweet. Let's just throw all of this into a shulker box, and then as for the rest of this blackstone, I just want to keep it as is. Okay, but finally, let's head back over to our castle. I can't help but feel like this is going to get really disorganized really fast, but let's add these 5 shulker boxes to our mess here. But with that, we finally have every single block that we need to build the exterior of the castle, which is such an awesome feeling. It was a really big grind, but we're finally ready to go. In an attempt to stick to the same build style as our gatehouse, I primarily used stone blocks, but then for the tower top, I finally used some of our blackstone. I went for a really cool tower with a peak in each of the 4 corners, and then smack dab in the middle, I created an even larger one to cap the whole thing off. We still have a long way to go, but this thing is looking absolutely epic. Like, it's so big, I had to come to the other side of the river even to get the whole thing in frame. What do you think, Mr. Wandy T? Do you like our tower? Yeah, you like it. As cool as our new tower looks though, it's a little bit disconnected from our gatehouse, so I want to get started on building up a bit of a wall. So I was thinking we could start about here just with some cobblestone, and then we'll also mix in a little bit of our regular stone and maybe a tiny bit of andesite as well. Pretty simple block palette, but it should look quite nice, so give me a sec and I'm gonna build this up. I got the wall built up like 10 or so more layers, and I think it's looking pretty good. I think this is gonna be a good height for it, but it is looking a little bit basic, so let's see. Can we use our elytra and get up on top of this wall? Come on, first try. Okay, nice, actually kind of gaming. Alrighty, but to spice up the top of this wall, I was thinking we could do alternating stone blocks and tough walls, and maybe even a little bit of andesite as well. That should look pretty good. Just got a couple more to place in. We'll do one more wall there and one more stone block. And you know what? Let's take it even one step further by placing a stone stair on top of all of these full blocks. And taking a look from the ground now, it's a small change, but it definitely makes the wall look a lot more detailed. However, I can't help but feel like this area at the bottom of the wall is still looking kind of plain. I did have an idea though. I was thinking we could put some pillars, maybe just spaced like 2 blocks apart, just using some acacia logs. We'll have one right here, and I think the last one will go right there. And we of course got to build these up, so maybe let's go 2 more logs, and then we can go 1, 2, 3, and 4 tough blocks, and then let's cap the whole thing off with a tough brick stair. Taking a look from the ground, I think that's going to look pretty cool, so let's go ahead and get the rest of these pillars built up. And this should be the last few blocks for the final pillar. Let's hop down to the ground once again and take a look. I think I really like these. Just helps add a little bit of depth since they're sticking out by 1 block. Plus, using the acacia logs and the tough bricks helps break up the color since they're like a bit of a warmer tone, I think, than the stone and cobblestone. And the awesome part is that our gatehouse and our new tower are now connected. It is looking a little bit weird from the back, but that's just because we still need to build the courtyard and everything, but we'll get to that later in the episode. As for right now, I want to get started on building like a bit of a barracks, I guess you could call it, right here, so you know what, let's get to building. I kept this one pretty straightforward, just using the same block palette as we've been using for the rest of the castle. I did, however, add one new element, and that's some iron bars running across the top of the roof. If we just ignore how weird this area looks like without the courtyard in place, I think our barracks is looking pretty good. You might have noticed a few gaps here though, and let's get those filled in right now. Just gotta put a few scaffolding down, just get ourselves right on top, and then for these windows, I've really been enjoying using oak trap doors. I did try experimenting with glass, but I think these oak trap doors fit the medieval look a whole lot better. Anyway, let's get ourselves back down to the ground. And heading inside, we should throw a few torches in here. Really don't want any creepers spawning and exploding our build. Okay, but for this door, I wanted to go for one of my classic designs, and that's just using some trapdoors like this. And then right in the middle, we'll do a door, just like that. Then we gotta get ourselves right on top, which could be a little bit tricky, but then we can just do some more trapdoors like that. We'll do another row right here, and I think we just need to go one more layer. And then if we just flip all of those, we got ourselves a door. Looks like decent from the inside, but if we take a look from the outside, it looks a whole lot better. Okay, our barracks is looking super awesome. However, it is super dark out here, so let's go sleep. We are making some great progress though on our castle. I'm so excited to see this thing built up. Look at these guys. If our castle was finished, they wouldn't be able to get in here. What the heck? Hey, at least our gate is working against this guy. He can't get us. Nice, it's actually working. Get out of here. Alright, enough messing around. Let's keep building up this castle. We still had so much to build at this point, so I locked in and began building a skinnier tower beside the barracks with a simple pointed roof. After that, I decided to build another large tower similar to the first one we made. I then connected our two brand new towers with a wall, which was a little tricky to design since it was on a diagonal, but in the end, I think it turned out pretty sweet. Moving right along, I started building up one of the largest buildings of the castle, and I'm thinking this will eventually be the grand hall where big dinners and parties will take place. And of course, I couldn't just go for some boring old rectangle, so I attached several smaller towers to the side of it to make the shape a whole lot more interesting. It took me like 2 hours to build this all up, but I think we can finally say that we're cooking. There was a few more details that I wanted to add to the roof though, so let's see if we can get ourselves up here. Holy, that was kind of crazy. But anyways, we did use some iron bars like right there, so I was thinking we could stick to that theme by doing some kind of on these smaller roof sections. So let's also do the exact same thing right here, just a few iron bars going all the way across. Wow, it looks absolutely majestic up here with the sun setting. We have a great view of our island and our harbor expansion. Oh, this is so cool. I'm getting distracted though. We still have more iron bars to place, for example, right here. And then there's one final section just right here. Alright, sweet. I think that covers all of these smaller roof sections, but I also want to add some bars going all the way across at the very top. Alright, this should be the last 3 right here. What the? How does Spider get up here? Get out of here, Spider. Anyway, to make the very top of this look extra fancy, I was thinking we could do an anvil, a black stone wall, and then right on top of that, let's try to do a nether brick fence. Yeah, that looks really cool. And it looks pretty sweet from the ground as well. Just a small detail, but definitely makes the whole thing look quite a bit more grand. Alright, this area's looking pretty good, but I'm getting so sick of looking at this grass, so I think it's finally time to build a proper courtyard. And I've sort of organized these shulkers into different groups, like this is my wood stuff over here, for example. But anyways, what we're after right now is some different stone types, so we'll grab a few stacks of this stone. What else do we need? Not that, we're gonna need some, no, I have more stone there. What am I looking for? Yeah, we're gonna need some stone bricks. And then let's see, we're also gonna need some, yeah, I'll take a bit of andesite. And then I'm after some cobble. Where's my, okay, yeah, here's my cobble. All right, now that we have that in hand, I'm thinking we build it at the same level as like our gate right here. And I'm thinking I'll just go for like mainly stone, and then we'll just mix in a little bit of this like cobblestone like that, as well as the andesite, and then just a tiny bit of these stone bricks. But anyway, with that block palette figured out, I locked in and placed in the entire lower level of the courtyard. It is a lot of gray just because we haven't added any decorations yet, but still it looks so much better now. And just ignore this area that I left open. I have a plan for that, which I'll show you in just a second. Because first, I want to fix up this right here, which is actually the entrance to this big building. So first things first, let's just do a pillar of stone brick walls, and then we'll do the exact same thing over here, just going all the way up. Let's do a thing of black stone in each of these corners, and then right in front of that, we can do some stairs, and I'm just going to mix the regular black stone stairs with the polished black stone stairs. So let's just do another row like that, maybe go back to our regular blackstone stairs, and I don't know, maybe one more polished right there. All right, let's hop down and see how that looks. Yeah, I think I like that. Let's just grab our loose stairs there and our scaffolding, and then we can go lantern and lantern. And then I was thinking right here, we could just go for one of our classic doors that we kind of built earlier, so we'll just start off with a bunch bunch of trapdoors. Holy, this looks so cursed, but let's just flip all of these, and then I think it'll be looking a whole lot better. Okay, perfect. And then last but not least, let's just throw our door in. And yeah, I mean, I guess I should address the elephant in the room, and that's that, yeah, this is our interior. It's looking pretty scuffed. I mean, we can barely even get in there. Let's just dig a bit of a staircase, and yeah. I definitely want to do all the interiors in here eventually, but for now, I think we better focus on finishing the actual exterior of the castle. For starters, I purposely left this area open as I was thinking it could be the perfect spot for some stables. So let's just start off by filling in the thing mainly with coarse dirt, and then we can texture it after. Alright, sweet, I got some patches of coarse dirt placed in all throughout the area. Along the edge, I wanted to try something a little bit unconventional, and that's using some dripstone plus acacia logs to kind of blend from the stone into the coarse dirt. It maybe looks a little bit weird from up close, but I think if you take a few steps back, it really does sell the effect. Anyway, it is still looking just a little bit weird, so let's fill in the rest of the area with rooted dirt. I'll also use some podzol, and then for the rest of the area, I just want to use regular dirt. This should be the last few blocks right there. Let's take a step back, and yeah, I think this is a nice patch of dirt. I'm happy with this. As I mentioned though, I want this to be an area for some horse stables, so let's start off by doing some barrels spaced 2 blocks apart. And then let's maybe just end it right about there, right before we hit this tower. And then in between these barrels, let's do a couple of fence gates so we can safely contain the horses. Alright, sweet, that's looking pretty good. And then on top of all of these barrels, I want to do some 3 tall pillars. So we'll just come up 1, maybe 2 and 3. And I think mixing the oak logs in with the stripped spruce logs should look pretty good. The pillars are in and looking good. And then I was thinking on the tops of them, we could do a spruce trapdoor. And then in between them, I want to do some oak slabs. And let's just repeat that exact same design for all of the pillars. Alright, we're making pretty good progress. The horses could definitely escape from right here though, so maybe let's just do a few logs and then we can fill the rest in with spruce planks. So nothing should be able to escape from this side now, and just so that everything's, you know, kind of balanced on both sides, let's fill this side in with spruce planks as well. Okay, perfect. And then just to divide up the different stalls, I was thinking we could keep it super simple and do a row of spruce trapdoors and above that a row of oak trapdoors. So something just like that. It should keep the animals divided, and because it's a thinner wall, it just kind of helps make these stalls themselves feel a little bit bigger, I think, so I do like this. But anyway, let's go ahead and repeat this for all of the stalls. Okay, this should be the last one, and let's just hop out here and take a look, and yeah, sweet, all the stalls are divided. Okay, but this thing definitely needs a roof. You know, if it rains, I definitely don't want our horses getting wet. I'll feel pretty bad. Anyway, let's start off by raising all of these pillars by just 1 more block. And then in between all of these, I just want to do a couple of oak fences. Once we add the roof, I think those fences will just create like a little bit of like a gap where air could be flowing in and out, which, you know, might be pretty nice if the horses are just ripping some mad stinky farts, you know, it would just help get rid of those. Anyway, I'm just trying to make it look a little bit fancier by doing some upside down stairs in front of all of the pillars, and then in between those, let's do some slabs. Alright, perfect, all the slabs are now in place. Back on top of the stable, let's place in the actual roof, and I was thinking just to stick to the same style as the rest of the castle, we could use some black stone again. And just a simple step up like this should be pretty good for ourselves, so let's get these last few blocks in place and take a look. Yeah, I think I like that. But to make the trim of the roof a little bit fancier, I was thinking we could do some campfires going all the way across. And of course, we'll extinguish all of these, you know, don't want our roof on fire. I think our stable is almost done. I did, however, want to add a bit of like an awning to it, just to, you know, once again keep the rain off of the horses. Just got a few more to place, and there we go. And I guess we should also light this area up, so let's do a chain and a lantern just like that, and then maybe we'll skip like every other pillar, so we'll do another one there, and boom, lantern. Got 3 lanterns right there, so we'll just do 1 more right about here. And of course, a build of mine would never be complete unless we add a bit of vegetation, so let's do a bit of short grass, maybe even use some bone meal to make some of the tall grass. And then I was thinking to help kind of break up the line between the dirt and the stone even more, we could use a bit of the leaf litter. You know, I've been using this technique a little bit lately. I quite like it. It's subtle, but definitely effective. But let's just do short grass, 1 more there, and bone meal that, and I think I am finally happy to call the stable finished. Hang on, we can't call this stable done yet. It doesn't have a single horse in it yet. The good thing is, I should have a bunch of saddles inside of our starter house. I have this fully dedicated saddle barrel. Wait a minute, this is all just armor. Alright, that's fine. I'm just gonna take this diamond horse armor, and then I don't even care. I'm gonna take the saddle from the item frame. Okay, but with that in hand, let's go find ourselves a horse, and Holy cow, wait a minute. Our castle looks so sick from here. What the heck? The castle is only like half finished. It's gonna look so sick once we fully finish it. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, I'm getting totally carried away though. Is there any horses around here? No way, there's a horse right behind our castle. Okay, this is meant to be. This is definitely our horse. Just gotta tame this guy. Come on, show me some hearts. Show me some hearts. No, don't kick me off. Give me some hearts, please, my guy. No, don't kick me off. I want some hearts. Why won't you love me? There we go. Okay, he loves me. All right, sweet. Let's throw our saddle on this guy plus our diamond horse armor. Also, ignore my inventory. It is an absolute disaster right now. Okay, but let's see. How fast is this guy? All right, not bad, not bad. Let's see the jump. Let's see the jump. Okay, decent, decent. All right, but eeny, meeny, miny, mo. What stall do you want? You want this one right at the end? All right, I got you, buddy. Enjoy your new home. Sorry, you're not allowed to leave. This is... Wait a minute. Wait, what? He just jumped right over the... Oh, come on. Man, this guy is finessing the system. I thought this was like the perfect stall design. He's just hopping right over all of these. Look at this. Look at this. What in the world? Okay, I guess we got to rework this. Let's see. I do have some more oak trapdoors on me, so maybe we just raise this up by like one more layer. Yeah, I think if we raise this by one block, he shouldn't be able to jump over it anymore. This horse, he's making me go through so many more trapdoors. I guess it is what it is. Okay, that's a good sign. He's trying to jump over, but he can't. Oh, that looks so cursed though. Look how high this guy is jumping. What in the world? All right, I might need to rework these dividers at some point, but you know what? These trapdoors will do for now. Well, that was a little chaotic, but I think our stable is finally done. What's not so done is the rest of our castle. We still have this entire half to complete. I'm super pumped to get started on it though, but before we do, let's take a second to check in on my cats. My two cats, Munchie and Mittens, are sort of the mascot of this channel, and it's also my way to totally guilt trip you into liking the video. For real though, taking just a quick second to like the video and maybe subscribing if you haven't already is such a huge way to support this channel, so I really do appreciate it. Alright, getting back to Minecraft, I think it's about time to tackle some of the buildings over here, so let's jump right into it. First up, I built the main keep of the castle, and this is where all of the royalty and important people are going to reside. The shape is very similar to the Grand Hall, but I switched this one up mainly by attaching a huge stone tower to the side of it. With that in place, I was left with a large gap at the front of the castle, so I filled that in with a fortified wall to connect the keep to the gatehouse. At this point, there was just one remaining empty section at the back of the castle to complete, which I decided to just patch up with a medium-sized stone tower and a couple of walls with black stone roofs. With the help of one of our happy ghasts, I then built 5 red flags on top of the towers. My favorite of them is definitely the one on top of the largest stone tower. The curves really do make it look like the flag is blowing in the wind. We still need to add all the small decorations to bring this place to life, but holy cow, is this place really shaping up. All of these walls just make it feel so enclosed and immersive, as well as, fortified, which is probably a pretty good feeling to have when inside of a castle. And you might have already noticed, but we have all of these different tiers of the courtyard. So we have this upper area where we are right now, this kind of in between middle area, and then this very lowest area where we have our stable. And at the moment, we just have these super basic staircases, so I want to spice these up a bit. And I was thinking for sort of a fancy look, we could do some polished andesite stairs on either side, so let's just do 3 more right about here. And then with those in place, I just want to fill in the rest using a combination of stone stairs as well as andesite stairs. This should be the last few stairs right about here, and it's a simple design, but I think it definitely works. And now that that's in place, I want to build a railing using anvils. It's a little bit expensive, but come on, it's a castle. No expenses will be spared. Also, I'm hearing a bunch of mob sounds. Okay, there they are. Yes, burn, burn. Oh, there's a creeper down there. Whoa! Was not expecting that guy to blow up. Is there anybody else down here? All right, Mr. Zombie, what's up? Get the smoke. I thought I already mob-proofed it down here, but apparently not, so let's just throw down a few more torches. Okay, clean up on aisle 3, let's get this patched back up using some stone and andesite. Okay, but with that distraction taken care of, I wanted to make this railing look even more kind of, fancy, so let's go ahead and build a few pillars using tuff and stone brick walls. And I'm thinking we can just space these about 2 blocks apart. And of course it's raining now, but the last thing that I just wanted to do was throw a lantern on top of each of these walls. And it's kind of like a 3-in-1 as it lights up the area, looks super cool, and keeps people from falling off. I'm quite pleased with how this area turned out, so I think I want to go for a super similar staircase right in this area, so let's do our polished andesite stairs, and then right here we'll just do a full block. And then you guessed it, we're going to repeat the exact same design on the other side, so let's extend this all the way down to the very bottom, and then once again we'll just fill in the rest of the area using andesite stairs and stone stairs. With that in place, I built another gate at the top of the staircase. You know, this is where the keep is, and I'm sure the royalty would want to be double protected. I really like how this gate came out. I think my favorite thing about it are these iron bars like above the arch. Just makes it feel like kind of fancy but also quite imposing. And with this staircase and the gate in place, we now have a really nice entry point to the highest tier of the courtyard. However, we do need a proper staircase to get into the actual keep, and you'll never guess, I'm just going to go for a super similar design as all of the other staircases. So once again, let's just throw down a few andesite stairs, and then we'll get some stone stairs and patch that up. And I'm going to be super unique and go door and door. No, not like that. Give me that back. And door. What the? What's a cow doing inside of our keep? Get out of here, guy. Fine, I'm sorry for punching you, you can stay in here. Okay, I got distracted from building my door, but as you can see, this place is pretty big, so there's definitely room for a giant interior. Anyway, I just want to finish patching up this door, kind of similar to some of the other ones that we've done, just using our spruce trapdoors. So let's just flip all of these, and then as you can see, we now have a really nice entry for our keep. But I think with that, the base shape of our castle is finally complete, so I want to get started on adding some decorations in here. As you know, right now it just looks super gray, which is a little bit boring. So let's lock in for one final resource gathering session. And honestly, I feel like I'm gonna have most of the blocks I need already in my various storage rooms, so hopefully this shouldn't take too terribly long. I'm mainly just after a bunch of vegetation blocks like leaves, and great, I have a bunch right here, so let's take some of these azalea ones, plus these flowering azaleas. And while we're at it, I'll also pick up these birch leaves too. Okay, moving right along, I'll take these bushes, and I'll also take the dead bushes too. And what else do I want to decorate with? Maybe some sea pickles, I'll take some lily pads, and maybe even a few cacti as well. But anyway, I'm just going to gather up the rest of the blocks that I need, like some various flowers and whatnot, and then we can get to decorating. I have no idea how this cow got in here, but you know what, I'll just let him chill. For now, I want to get started on building a bit of a flower bed over in this area. So let's just start by ripping out a bit of the courtyard, and then we can replace this with dirt. Okay, so I got that cleared out, and I'm thinking we just go for a very similar block palette as what we did over there. So along the edges, we'll do our acacia logs and our dripstone, and then we can fill in the rest with our coarse dirt, rooted dirt, and regular dirt. That's looking good, and I cannot help myself, so once again, I'm just going to dot a bit of this leaf litter right along the edge. And because I want this to be a bit of a flower bed, I was thinking we could start off with some short grass, and we could probably mix in a few of these bushes as well. Okay, but moving right along, I want to throw some alliums in here for a nice pop of purple. And something else that'll blend in really nice with the alliums are these lilacs. I think the colors go really well together. Already, this is looking so good. The color of the bushes and the short grass is a little bit weird just because we are in a savanna biome, but honestly, I don't even mind it. Anyway, I did just want to add one more thing in here, and that's just a few dead bushes, just to switch it up a bit. I was pretty happy with how the flower bed was looking at this point, but I wanted to take it to the next level, so I built a large birch tree and 2 small spruce trees. This flower bed plus tree combo brought so much life into the area that I couldn't help myself, and I built 3 more of them scattered throughout the courtyard. And of course, I tried to make each of them unique by using different types of flowers and vegetation, as well as just switching up the shapes and trees. It's truthfully kind of shocking how big of a difference this made. Just having a few trees in here, it totally brought the area to life. And you might have noticed I started adding some of these bushes around, and I want to keep adding more to kind of like sections like this. You can see it's just totally gray, really boring, so if we dot some of these leaves in here, it should really help out. But I'm just going to keep adding these all over the place, like even this upper courtyard area has some kind of like dead spots, like right here for example. So wait, whoa, what is that? A pig? Why does that look so weird? What is up with this pig? I must have buried him in here when I was building the castle. I'm sorry, pig, you wanna get out? Alright, you know what, pig? You can stay in the walls. You can oh, okay. Alright, you're out. Alright, you're out, but you gotta move, pig. I want to place down my leaves. Can you get out of here? Thank you. This pig is distracting me. I'm just trying to get my leaves in here. I want to stack these fairly high. Again, we'll get some of the flowering ones as well, just for a bit of color. But yeah, something just like that adds a tiny bit of color to those dead areas. I think it's going to help out a lot. As you can see, I scattered more bushes all throughout the courtyard, and it's looking absolutely awesome in here. I mean, if we just don't look at my shulker mess, just ignore that. But anyway, we still have a ton details to add, and first things first, I wanted to do a wall with the lantern on top, kind of in front of this gate, just to help light up the area. And I also wanted to add a little bit of lighting beside the entrance of the keep, so let's do a trapdoor, we'll do a fence, a chain, and a lantern. I think that's looking good, and for even more decoration, maybe we can make a small table here using birch stairs and scaffolding, and then on top a lantern. Maybe this is where some guards would be sitting so they can keep an eye on who's coming in and out of the keep. It already is looking pretty good in here, but we do still have a bit of open space over on this side. So maybe we just keep it super simple and do like a barrel right there, another one maybe right there, we could do a stripped piece of wood right there, maybe even another barrel on top. And then I have been enjoying just kind of capping these off with some trapdoors. Oh, what's up, pig? Anyway, let's just throw a lantern right on top of this one, and there we go, a little bit of storage. And then to tie into that storage, maybe we add a small cart that would actually be moving the stuff around, so let's do some wheels like that. We'll need a couple on the other side, flip those up, and then we can go slab, slab, and trapdoor. On top of that, let's do a campfire, extinguish that, we can do trapdoor and trapdoor, and then just for some handles for the cart, let's do a gate just like that, open it, and there we go, looking good. Okay, but with that, I'm pretty happy with this upper area of the courtyard, so I think let's tackle this middle section next. And maybe let's just start by adding even more random storage. We could do like a barrel right there, a slab, and maybe a lantern right on top. And I just went ahead and added even more barrels over here, as well as a cart, but you know, just got to extinguish that campfire. Moving on, we have this entrance to the gatehouse right here, which is looking, you know, not too bad, but I was thinking we could add just a bit more detail by throwing a few campfires up here, and of course, extinguishing those as well. And right beside that, we could add even more barrels, you know, why not? Maybe one more right there, and a lantern to help light up this area. And I quite like how that table that we built came out earlier, so maybe we just add a couple more right here. So we'll start off with our chairs and then do a couple of tables just like that. And then to decorate this one, let's do a flower pot and an allium, and on this one, a pressure plate. And yeah, it'll look a whole lot better once we finally get rid of all of our shulker boxes, but for now, I think I'm happy to call this middle platform finished. And you know what that means? We just have this very bottom area to decorate. And since this area is right beside the entrance, maybe we can have just like a little bit of seating just in case somebody's, you know, waiting for somebody to come meet them. So let's do some campfires like that, a few trapdoors, and then we'll extinguish these. Same thing over here, let's do a couple of trapdoors and extinguish those. This is one of my favorite bench designs, I feel like it always works. Carrying right along, let's do a couple of barrels maybe just right here, and then on top of that a couple of trapdoors. And you know what, why not? Let's also add a bit of storage right beside the entrance of the barracks, but maybe we can switch this one up ever so slightly by also including a couple of campfires. It is starting to shape up in here, but we do have quite a large area right in the center, so I was thinking we could build a giant fountain. First things first, let's just dig out a bit of an area right here. I think a shape like this will be pretty good, so let's just fill this in with some mossy cobblestone. I got that in place, and then I just want to surround the entire thing with some regular andesite stairs as well as some polished andesite stairs. So something just like this. However, it is a bit of like a hard edge right here, so maybe we just smooth that out again just using some stairs. And this would also be a good chance for us to light up the center of the courtyard, so let's do a couple of walls like that, and on top a lantern. So we'll just do the exact same thing on this side as well, a couple of walls and a couple of lanterns. And we still need to add the actual fountain part in the center, but before we get to that, I think we should just fill in this entire bottom area just with some water. And it's going to be just slightly annoying as we have to waterlog all of these stairs. Alright, but sweet, I think we got that all filled in. And then to detail the water, I was thinking we could do some sea pickles as well as some seagrass. Now for the fun part, let's build the actual fountain, and just right in the center, I'm thinking we do a polished andesite block, and then we'll do a lodestone, another polished andesite, a lodestone, and one more andesite. Let's take a look at that. Ow, my legs. That's a good start, but let's also just do an upside down stair going all the way around. Okay, the next step is waterlogging each of these stairs. And that already creates a pretty cool effect, but I think it'll look even better if we add one more water right on top. And check that out, I think it's an awesome shape for our fountain. I just had one more idea though, and that's to scatter a few pots around the edge of the fountain. And inside of them, maybe we can just do a piece of bamboo, a couple of these mangrove propagules, and a cactus. Alright, but with that, I think I'm happy to call this fountain finished. But with that, I think it's about time that we clear away these shulker boxes and take a look at this courtyard with some shaders on. And I'm kind of at a loss for words right now. All I can say is that this is looking super epic. I honestly think it's been a few years since I've built a castle, but I had so much fun putting this together. It was a hard challenge, but definitely worth it in the end. And one of my favorite things about this castle is that it makes the perfect backdrop for our harbor expansion. But as always, if you want to explore this world for yourself, you can get the world download on my Patreon or by joining right here as a member on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching, and happy building!